Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. Sorry it took me so long to get going here. It looks like my new broadcast software along with YouTube's changed, and their broadcast studio software has got me a little messed up here today. Anyway, we're painting an oil painting today. We're using the Bob Ross style. We're painting on 11 by 14 gray gesso canvas, and using a photo from Tricia Rawson from the Facebook group called Photos for Artists, and it's a place in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, set of mountains there. So I'm going to try to do that for you today, and hopefully I won't have any more problems with the broadcast software. I don't know if I'll be able to respond to your messages because my computer up here at the easel is not displaying what you're seeing, so I don't know that I'm able to actually communicate as well as I would like to. But anyway, let me run over the paints again for you really quickly. So I have this all in one compact video. I got titanium white, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, alizarin crimson, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and bright red. Those are all Bob Ross colors, and I have ultraviolet over here as a Grumbacher color. My brushes, you've seen my big palette knife. That's a typical Bob Ross palette knife. I've got a couple of large 2-inch brushes, a 1-inch brush. I've got a half round brush, it's called. I've got a couple of big fan brushes here, a couple of smaller fan brushes here. I've got a filbert brush, and I've got a couple of script liners. So I don't know if I'm going to use all those, how many I'm going to use, but I'm going to get going here and get this painting underway. So let me move my palette down and move my camera in. Take this over about right there. Let's see if that's going to work right there. Zoom in as far as I can. Okay, so I think we're all set to go. I'm going to get my start with my big brush here, and I've got my canvas gridded off. I don't know if you can see those grids very well, but they're about 2 1/4 inches. This is 11 by 14, so I have a 5 by 4 grid here, which has the lines on it to help me use the grid from the photograph, which you can see. This photograph and the value map will be on my website. They're not there right now, but they will be there later today. And so I use the grid on the photograph and the grid here to sort of place things. But as you know, as I've spoken before, when the Bob Ross style, you kind of lose that if you paint an entire canvas with white, liquid white, which is what he always does, and that's what I'm going to do now. But anyway, you can lay things in. You can see I've used my white pencil here, my charcoal white pencil, and I've drawn in a few spots here where these mountains are. They're kind of coming in. It kind of gives me an idea about where I want these things to go and how they're going to fall, and where the water is going to be. The water line's very low here, little peninsula, and comes over this way. So all those lines don't mean anything if you paint white, liquid white over it. So anyway, I'll be sort of using my judgment to try to figure out where everything goes here. So let's get going. Got my big 2-inch brush here with my liquid white, and we're going to just cover this entire canvas right now with liquid white. A very light coat of liquid white, I might add. You don't want to put a lot of this on here because the more you put in, the harder it is to control. You want it to be there to make the canvas slick and wet and let the paint flow smoothly, but you don't want so much that it overrides the paint that you're putting on over it. So this wet and wet technique basically has this idea of putting one layer of paint over another, and so you want the underlying layer to be at least a liquid white layer, which allows this paint to move so smoothly and nicely. You want it to be as thin as possible, but yet still allow the paint to move. So let's try this and see. I may take a couple of breaks and go to my other computer and see if I can see any messages you're putting on the chat window there. I can't see the chat window here from my easel today. I think I need a new computer up here. I'm using an old beat up computer, and think it finally decided it wasn't going to display any of the broadcast stuff for me. Okay, so there's our white on white, liquid white, and it's all slick and ready to go. And so we're going to start with the sky as usual. Now in this photograph, the sky is almost the color of the snow. It's almost white on white. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add a little blue to this brush. I've already got this liquid white in. I haven't cleaned the brush, and we're just going to put in a nice little layer of blue sky up here, so that we have some differentiation between the snow and the sky. And we'll cover it with some mountains, and maybe add a little alizarin crimson here to give it a little more of the, a little bit of the maroon or lavender color, I guess, in this area right in here. This is the focal point is really this sort of this glacier, I guess, in the middle here that kind of comes down. I'm assuming that's a glacier. Certainly a lot of snow. So, all right, I think that's good enough for this. I want it to be dark enough that you're going to be able to see the white snow underneath it and the whatever's on the mountain. So I'm going to darken up a few more spots here. All right, that's good enough. Use my big brush. Got that done. All right, now the mountains on the right-hand side, we're going to start with those with the 1-inch brush. And they're sort of a grayish color. I'm going to take a little of my Van Dyke and my dark sienna, put just a touch of blue in there, and that'll gray that down to give it a little bit of a steel blue color. Gray, steel gray, I guess I should say, with a little brown in it. I can use a little midnight black with some white and do the same idea. So I'll get these colors in the brush here. We're going to start over here on the right. They actually come clear over to about right in here. See how that paint underneath just makes these, just sort of makes this color change on you, because it's so much white in it. So you have to use your colors darker usually here than you might otherwise use them. So this mountain is kind of in the distance. I don't want it to be very, very strong. I want it to be sort of fading out back here, and it does come all the way down to, see, this other mountain starts about right here, comes down like this. All right, we'll put these in and put a little more blue in it maybe. Blue and gray. And this glacier sort of starts right here, so I'm going to leave that alone. A little bit of, okay, just a little more here. Putting in some vertical brush strokes. Put some snow over that in a minute, but we'll stop with that. Now I'm going to make it just a little darker. And come forward. As we come forward, we want it to get a little darker because that's helping our perspective. So right in here somewhere, we're going to start getting darker, darker and darker, and come down. I'm just going to put these in like this. This is a big mountain that comes all the way down almost to the center, actually past the center. Down into this area. Okay. So I'm just putting the underlying paint colors in here now to sort of give me something to work with. We're going to have some snow, some shadows in here. There's some big dark shadows I want to preserve. Okay. Looks like the broadcast is still working, even though I can't see it up here at my up here by my computer. There's a little bit of something going on here in the middle, right in here. It's got another layer of rock and that sort of stuff going on. All right. Other side over here is similar color, only I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to put a little of alizarin in it and sort of make it just a little redder maybe. I don't want the same color on the left side as I have on the right side, so I'm going to mix it up a little bit and put make these just slightly redder. Come down all the way down into here. There's that glacier coming down. Okay. So this is just all the sort of the underpainting, if you will. Just putting this stuff in. We're going to come back and put some nice hard edges and tops on this. Down here, this is going to be all blue. Take a little bit of this water. See if I can find the edge here. About right in here is where the water is going to be, down here. Take a little more of that phthalo blue, kind of the color of the sky, if you will. Put a little bit of that right down here. Run it all the way over. Picking up some more gray, but that's okay. I'm going to put this down here. I want this water to be. Again, this is our sort of our first coat, if you will, to get the canvas nice and covered. And that's sort of our beginning. Sit back and see if anybody's saying anything to me. No, don't see any messages. I may not be able to even see your messages, folks. I don't know. I'm been struggling with this today. All right. That's good enough for now. Got the whole canvas covered, and we've only been working about 9 or 10 minutes here. This is a smaller canvas. You know, Bob Ross always painted on these large, I don't know, 18 by 32 or something, large canvases. So he had a lot more paint to put on, and it took him quite a bit longer. All right, I'm going to go back now and start working on some of this background. Use my painting knife and see if we can get some a little more stuff going on back here. I don't want this to be real hard edge as much as I can. If I can minimize it, I want it to be just a little softer. Okay, so we got that nice underpainting going on. And so the more I mash these down, the more they will sort of blend into the background. And they'll be less distinct. And the reason I do that is because they're further away. So I want them to be less distinct, a little more gray in them, and snow that comes down like this. Some areas. So it still looks like a big range of strong mountains back there, but they're light enough that it doesn't pull your eye all the way back there, which is what I'm trying to prevent. And we got some snow along here in this area, so I'll come back and put some of that in. Down in here we got another set of some mountain looking things. Okay, so that I want to have it just a little bit darker than what's behind it, but still I want it to recede into the background. I think that's about right. So let's go on the other side now and start working over here on this guy. Get my little roll of paint and just come in and start putting in way too much alizarin crimson there. You see that? Not crazy about that, so we'll see if we can fix that up a little bit by putting some other colors over him. That's one thing about oil paints, they are very forgiving. You can redo stuff, go over it, fix it, and I think these are probably about as far back as the ones across from them over here, so they should be close to the same value, if I can make that happen. As I say that, I just sort of made them a little too dark, but we know how to lighten them up. Over here I got my big snow coming down, this is coming down. A little more of this alizarin, pull it in there. Big mountains. We'll lighten this up a little bit with some white in this area right in here. And too much on my knife. I get a little more pure. Okay. I'm putting more snow in here than is actually in the photograph, but that's okay. Starts getting sort of a bluish haze down here at the bottom, light blue. I'm going to put some white and my phthalo blue together. Get a bit of a feel of, I don't know, I guess you'd call it haze. I'll come back with my brush and maybe pound some of that in and make it look a little more like mist. So I got, actually this kind of looks like mist over here, looks like some mist in this area. I want to strengthen this glacier right now. It's not the way I want it to be. I'm going to come back with my white snow and go over that with my white titanium white. Let's see if I got this. I'm just kind of making some of these what are called hard edges where it looks sharp. I'm toning it down by just slightly moving the knife over it so it takes out some of those hard edges. So the harder the edges. Hi Lindy, I see you signed on. Welcome from South Africa. Missed out. Well, you didn't miss everything, Lindy. We've had some technical difficulties here starting this thing up. It took me 15 minutes to get the broadcast going, which I'm not happy with YouTube's new broadcast studio software that they're forcing us to use now. And my software had a little bit of a glitch connecting, and so anyway, we're doing some cold mountains. Probably don't see these in South Africa, at least where you are, but I'm glad you're here. All right, let's go put some snow back here and see if we can get this look a little more like a glacier. I'm using almost pure titanium white with just touches of this phthalo blue in it to sort of give it some depth. It needs to go over more straight like this, and it needs to pull over this way. Yeah, there we go. Pulling over here, there's a bit of a snow ridge there. Just painted that in. There's another little snow ridge down here, right in this area. A bit lighter. So that needs to be more level. There we go. Over here we've got some snow coming down, sort of that way. All right, we're giving it a good dose of glacier work there. All right, this over here is pretty good. I think I want to just try this and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll get rid of it, but put just a touch of cad yellow. I want to lighten that snow up just a fraction. So it looks like we got some sun, kind of probably too much, but I want it to be a little bit lighter to show we do have some other colors in this snow so that it's not just all pure titanium white. All right. Guess that worked. Get that yellow out of my titanium over there. All right. Yeah, well, I may come back and touch that up a little more later, but right now I think I'm going to stop on it. Get that. It still doesn't look level to me. That looks a little better. All right. So we do have some other little snow things that kind of go up here that have a little blue in them. Sort of kind of where the snow's dropping down the mountain and catching a little blue in it. All the way up here. I keep wiping my brush or my palette knife off because whatever I go into that paint, when I put this on, it picks up the paint that's underneath it. So you have to make sure you clean that brush off or knife off. Same with the brush. Otherwise you'll just start putting the wrong colors back on. Okay, that's looking a little more the way a little bit more the way the photograph looks, I guess I want to say. Maybe a few more little bumps and things here to make it look like that. All right, now this mountain on the right side, over here. I started in really heavy-handed here. Make it darker. Why are we doing that? It's closer. And the darker color will tell you and the person viewing this painting that it's closer. All this has been done with the palette knife so far, except for the underpainting, which I did to get some base color on there. Some gray in here. Got some. I'm going to put some streaks of snow in here. It does have a kind of a rocky looking face here. Kind of letting the canvas pull off of the palette knife, whatever it will. I'm not trying to force it, other than doing a little dabbing with whatever's on the knife and letting that come off, and that looks like, impression I'm giving you is that this is a mountain that's closer, and it's got stuff running down, a lot of runoff here, a lot of debris and so forth. So the brush strokes, or I keep saying brush strokes, my palette knife strokes are telling you what's happening with this mountain. That little stroke right there tells you that this is a pretty steep decline in that mountain. It's coming way down here, all the way down to this area here where we're starting to get into some greenery in this area. So I'm just letting it pull off, letting the canvas pull off of the knife, whatever it wants to come off, and it leaves that rough, very rough texture. It looks like it's a lot of debris and rocks that have been pulverized and whatever. I want to put a little bit of my, put more gray in there, so I'm going to get some black over this and sort of blend it in. There's trees down here. I'm going to cover up some of that. It's kind of fun to work with the knife almost exclusively on this because it's a lot of fun for snow scenes. I'm going to get my fan brush out here shortly, and we'll be putting in some of this snow and some more of these trees. All right, that's that for that. I think I've got pretty much, I'll put a little more in here, pull this down, because we're going to have some of this show through. I'm going to put a bunch of trees in here, but I want this to show through that there's some mist or something back here that something like that. This area up above here needs to be just a little bit lighter. It's got some actual, I don't know if that's snow or if that's rock sticking out, but it certainly has a little bit of character up there that in this area. Probably is snow. So it helps also tell the angle that we got going on here with this glacier. I'm bringing that glacier down a lot further than it is in this photograph, as you might recognize. All right, let's get a fan brush out here and get going on some of these. I'm going to try some of this green. I'm going to try to make this green have a little blue in it so that it's more of a winter color instead of a, almost looks like this could have been taken in springtime, and it probably was. I'm going to get my fan brush out and start working in this area back here, about right somewhere in this area here. It's got probably too much green in it right now. Pick up a little more blue, get ourselves a little darker. Actually, I'm going to put some red in it because I want to brown it up a little bit. It's, those ones in the distance are more, look like they're, some of them are dead and dying, or certainly have more brown in them than the ones closer to us. Looks like a whole stand of trees that are maybe dead back there. Okay. I don't know if it doesn't, that color may not be translating to you very well on the camera. I'm just going to put in some things that look like trees back here in the distance. Kind of indicate we've got some stuff going on back there. Go over this, that had too much green in it. Alright, so I've sort of used a little blue, a little bit of a brown to try to grade these down a little bit. And there is a dark shadow under them, like right in here, because this mountain's casting a bit of a shadow, and plus there, that's a little better, I think. Alright, these trees here, I'm going to just pick up some brown and stop trying to make it with my alizarin. A little dark sienna, come in here and put a few of those in this way. So I'm not painting individual trees, I'm painting an abstract mass that looks like it could be trees. So that's optical illusion for you, that you do with paint. There's some snow going up here, I want to capture that down this way. Some more grasses and stuff. Pick up a little greenery. So that's greener. I have more sap green in there. It doesn't come across quite on the camera like it does to me here. But it sort of all blends into this background here, this mountain. All goes up the mountain. Some of it I think even goes up pretty far up in there. I'm going to throw some snow over the top of that. Put some more dark things at the bottom of this right in here to help those stand out a little better. All right, that looks like a little nice little mountain of trees back there. This area, I'm going to leave this with my green in it, set it aside, and get me another fan brush. It's always fun to have more than one fan brush because you can leave one color in and not have to. I haven't used the thinner. I haven't washed any of my brushes out yet today. This entire painting has been done without any brush washouts. There's a little bit of white snow here that kind of comes into this area. We got some more snow in here. It's actually Yeah. Putting in more than shows on the photograph, just for artistic license here, whatever I think it needs. Throwing a few more sweeps of snow in there. It's actually not snow in the photograph, it's actually like rockiness and rocks and debris that's fallen off the mountain. In the winter it would be covered with snow. So we're kind of turning this into a snow scene with a few spots. All right, that'll do that for now. Over here in this area, I'm going to try to lay in this peninsula that sticks out here. I'm going to use some white and dark sienna and just run it out into the water. I want the water to come behind it because I'm going to put some trees on this piece of ground right here. Make it darker as it touches the water. Okay, so this is going to have some greenery. It's going to go back. All right, making good progress here. Now, get a little bigger fan brush here. I'm going to put in a little more. Well, you know what? I don't need that big a brush. I'm going to use this brush, my smaller fan brush. And right in here, we're going to start putting in some trees that kind of go along this water line. Mixture of alizarin and sap green and a little bit of phthalo blue will give me a combination of brown that maybe have a little green in it, and green that has a little brown in it. I want these to look like pine trees, like you would have in this area. So let's put in a few things that stick up like this. I got some yellow on my brush. Where did I get that? So this is just a ton of trees sitting here that are all kind of far off. They're across this water. And I'm just going to throw them in here and bring them down, let them connect up with there's some greenery that goes up the side of the mountain here. Let's put a little bit of that in. Yeah. Guess I'm still broadcasting. All right, so those are just little pine trees that are sitting out there, a lot of them. My next painting, I should tell you, this normal schedule would be for next Wednesday, which just happens to be Christmas holiday here. So what I intend to do is to take this same photograph and do it in watercolor. So you'll get to see how I do it in oil here, and then you can see how I do it in watercolor. And next week sometime I will post that video before the holiday, and you can tune in and watch it as soon as I get it posted. All right, we're going to put some base into this. Gonna leave a little snow in there. Some brown. So it looks like there's some snow in this area among these trees. I want it to go about back there, something like that. take a few of them out. Don't overload on it, but need more black, darker. This is a nice smooth lake, and we're going to come back and put some nice reflections on there. Now I'm going to start picking up some of my cad yellow and mixing it with my sap green and maybe with some phthalo blue. Get a couple of different colors of green going here, a little bit lighter, and we're going to start like right in here. These are going to be a little taller. They're being a little darker too. I think they're too light, so let's put a few. These things start going up pretty high. They get into this. So I have a little beach-like area here, but I want to show the water in the back side of it. So that's why I let that water go behind, and I've got the grasses coming in. And get some more yellow in that one. These kind of trees, if you've never been around where they are, they grow tall and narrow because of the cold climate they're in. They don't bush out a lot. So if you want to be a little accurate with the area where these grow, you have to pay attention to that. Make them skinny and tall. Oh, this is going to go all the way over here. It's going to pull some junk in there, and going to have a big old tree that goes up here. Want some more dark on the side of him. But these are all going to be kind of curving around. This actually kind of curves around. I don't show that yet, but I will, because I'm going to put these trees here as they come down to meet the bottom of the canvas. So I'm actually sort of stippling here over these other trees, and fill it in with some different colors. Change your colors, change the size of these, different widths, different heights. Variation is the name of the game. Vary everything you can think of. Put a few more things in there to fill it in. I don't want it to look like it's a bunch of thin little trees, because they're not. Okay. It's over here. There's one that kind of goes all the way up. And this guy goes way up there. So I'm going to have him do that. Go way up there and right off the edge of the canvas. Okay. What did I do with my brush that had snow and stuff in it. I'm going to use it to sort of finish this off over here with some something like this. That's what I want. Put in a few connectors so that it looks like they're part of the landscape. All right. Now we got to do these big trees. I'm going to get my big fan brush here, and I get some bunch of phthalo blue and a bunch of sap green. Get this fan brush all filled with a lot of this color, maybe a little yellow, brighten it up, but right in here, I gotta have some more dark in there. It's gotta be darker. That Prussian blue is gonna darken it down. Might add a little black. So we're gonna, this thing actually goes clear above. It's like way up here. As I come down, you can see that the paint gets lighter because I'm picking up the paint underneath. And it's a big, big tree. So I'm just building this the top down from the bottom back up. Colors aren't exactly like they are in the photograph, but that's okay. I want them to be lighter on the right side than they are on the left side. The sun's coming from over that way, so we want it to be darker over here. So let's make these things all kind of darker in this area. Make them even a little bigger, maybe. All right, now let's take some of this yellow. I have not washed my brushes out with thinner yet. I have wiped it out with a brush or with a paper towel, but have not washed my brushes out. It's not only wet and wet on the canvas, that's wet on the brushes. So I'm trying to lighten this up on the right side. I want to put this cad yellow to brighten this up on the right and make it look like it's getting more sun. This one here is getting a little sun right in here. Little highlights. When you can get three values, you've heard me say this before, if you can get three values on an object, whether it's a tree or a building or a rock or whatever, get three values, you will get three-dimensionality. So it will look like these trees are rounded, and I need to have this other big one in here. I'm going to go back and get him now while I've got my brush with all this. He's like right in here probably. This is about the final tree, and we're going to do a little touch up and maybe some scraping, and we'll be done with this. Been going 47 minutes. Well, that's not too bad. So if any of you live where they have these kind of trees, you'll know why I'm making them tall and skinny. It's either the altitude or the climate makes them very hard to survive in this when they're bigger. Okay. So I'm getting this tree here that's got some dark on the side of it, and there's one behind it that's a little lighter. See how that works? It gives it more depth. Looks like the one behind it is actually getting sun, and the one here is getting a little shadow because that's making it look rounded. So let's go back and get some more of our cad yellow and put some of that in here. I'm running out of cad yellow. Like this. I could have used snow for this if I wanted to, but I think this is kind of gives better. Putting just a little cad yellow in there just gives a nice depth of color, and it makes it look. Down here we've got some grasses actually going down here, so I'm going to throw in a few of those. And there's a few little grasses maybe over here that survived, and even some down here. All right, let me look at that and see what we got. I'm going to see if I can put in any. I don't really see any tree trunks anywhere. I don't even see any other trees. I'm going to put a few little scrapes in here. It looks like there's some other kind of trees floating around in this area here in some of these places. Maybe some trees that have died off and don't have much left. And I got this palette knife going. Let's just go in here and put a little bit of this. A little bit of a base on that. Hitting the bottom of my canvas here. Okay. Thing that's missing off of here is some reflections in the water. So, how are we going to make reflections? Well, you know how to do that. Come here and we just take this and we like this. And then basically using the color that's in the trees there. Something like that. And then the mountain needs to have a reflection. I need a cleaner brush here. Let's see. Maybe this guy's got some. Take this brown and color here, and let's see this. If this were reflecting, it would be going back this way, and it would be coming. Put just a little bit of a reflection from this brown, and make it taper. Something like this. I run some of these together so that it looks like they're all part of the same thing. All right, and now we always take, when we have reflections, we always take our brush, dry it off, get as much out of it as we can. Still haven't used any odorless thinner, folks. I'm still working with paper towel only. Over here, we're going to take some horizontal strikes like that. Dry the brush out. Take some more, another one like that. Over here, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to pull right to left. Like this. Clean the brush out and take another swipe. And what else can we do? We can put a little kind of a little horizontal stroke here that helps enhance that reflection, make it look like water. Back in the back here, I think I need a little more distinction back here. It's probably too dark, but it makes it look like there's some rockiness maybe there. Maybe even it looks like a rock or two laying in here. Could have some rocks down there. Like that. Put a little bit of this white with yellow highlight on it. Like that. What else can I do? I think I'm about finished here. I need to just stop. I'm gonna mess it up if I don't stop here. Somebody tell me to stop. All right, folks, I think I've been going almost an hour. I'm gonna now get some odorless thinner on my my brush here, that script liner brush. I'm gonna stick my name on this thing. Right in here. A little more there. I think I'm going to call that one finished, except I do see something that I need to touch up just a second. That yellow, when I step back and look at this, that yellow is still up here, is still too bright. I cleaned out this brush. I'm just going to tone it down just a little so that it doesn't pull your eye quite so much. I want it to just indicate there's some sun hitting the snow and it's making it a little yellow, but I don't want hard edges all over it. So I think that will, actually adding these few little dark things, help it look like there might be some rocks and stuff in there. All right, I said I was going to quit. All right, let's quit. And zoom this thing out, get back. Okay, the colors aren't exactly matching the photograph, but then that's my artistic license. I hope you like this. Hope you give it a try. I hope the broadcast has come across to suit you. Sorry I couldn't really respond to any text messages hardly. My computer up here doesn't like the broadcast. Doesn't use the same browser that is needed. So I'm going to have to fix that. But anyway, like this if you do like it, and share it with your friends if you like my work, and check out my website, check out my Facebook page and my Patreon site. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this before next Wednesday in watercolor. So I'll be doing that. I'll be recording it, but I won't be doing a live broadcast next week. So anyway, look for that to come up on my channel here in the next several days, along with the re-edited version of this. And maybe I'll take some of the glitches out of it that we had, and that will be better. So anyway, till I see you again, this is Larry Hamilton saying so long for now. Bye-bye.